Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick overview of this thing here. Now this is the new Master 5 V2 frame that has come out of SpeedyBee. Now I quite like the frames that SpeedyBee makes. They're not out and out racer frames, but they have lots of room for other bits and pieces. So I thought I would get one. Let's have a look at it, talk about what it's like to build, and also kind of give my thoughts when I put this thing together. Now I have been toying for a while about doing another quad build on the channel, specifically around iNav with something like walk snail in the back. And for that I'm going to need a place for the GPS, tick. I'm going to need loads of room at the back for a HD system, tick. And I'm going to need a decent frame where everything's going to fit, tick. This seems to tick all the boxes of all the stuff I'm interested in. And it has some kind of cool, interesting little features. These little things that are flopping around there because I've left them free so I can get my flight controller in. So the headlines for this is that it is a mild dead cat layout, slightly different from the original Master 5 V1 and the Master 5 HD V1, where their arms were in a slightly different position. Wheelbase on this is 226mm, weight is about 140 grams. The top plate thickness is 2.5mm. It's T300 3K carbon fiber for all this stuff. Middle plate is 2mm, bottom plate is 2.5mm, and the arm thickness is a nice chunky 5mm. Camera side plate thickness is 2mm TUPC, and the anti-vibration stuff is yellow HB80 or translucent HB50, which allows you to choose an anti-vibration mount that's right for the flight controller and setup that you've got. It's really built for a 5 or 5.1 inch propeller, and the mounting holes for the motors out on the arms are 16 by 16mm. The flight controller mounting hole is a 30.5 by 30.5 M3 screw layout, pretty standard stuff, although it also has supports for 20 by 20mm mounting as well for the smaller flight controller stack if you want to use one of those. The front camera mount is made from 7075 CNC'd aluminium alloy. Lots of people copied the Armatan way of doing things. These guys are no exception, and the camera mount at the front is made of that high quality aluminium alloy. All the standoffs are the same alloy, and the internal installation height is 23 to 30mm depending whereabouts in the frame you are. The GPS mount at the back will fit an 18 by 18 by 8mm, although you could easily 3D print your own version of the 3D printable mount. And the rear support mounting holes for your FPV system of choice are 20 by 20mm, 25.5 by 25.5 or 30.5 by 30.5mm. So pretty much everything is covered. Detachable stack protective plates are in here, motor wire protectors are in here, and loads of 3D printed parts, things like the GoPro base, the capacitor buzzer base, arm protectors, 181 GPS base, T-antenna bases for things like your crossfire stuff, a TPU protector for the cage at the front, loads of different things. It even comes with a buzzer in the kit. The way it is packaged is beautiful. It feels like a very high-end piece of kit. In here are all the pieces you need, and the thing I really love about this is the manual that comes with it is actually useful. Somebody has put a lot of thought into this. There's lots of diagrams. If you can put some IKEA furniture together, you can build this easily. All of the packages for all the screws are also nicely labeled too, so there's no confusing which screw you're supposed to use for which bit. The building itself was a piece of cake. I just followed the instructions and used the screws that it pointed me towards piece by piece. Some of the pictures, just be aware, there are several steps and it isn't as obvious as you might think. For example, the front and back arms are slightly different geometry with slightly different bumps on them. You need to make sure you're getting those the right way around because it is that slightly dead cat style with the front props pushed a little bit further back to get them out the way of the camera. Apart from that, it's a very simple and easy fun build without too much drama, and because all the pieces are so well made, it fits together beautifully. But it's when it's together that you start to notice some of the cute little things they've done. That kind of hexagonal design, you know, that's all based on the bee is absolutely everywhere all over the model, and it's really cute little touches like that that make me smile. So let's go through a couple of things that I particularly like about this. Obviously, we have the metal cage at the front that's going to protect your camera, and we even have a little chin bumper here that goes over the top. It's an optional piece, but I'm definitely going to fit mine. So if you come in on the nose, then you don't scratch up all this nice aluminium that we have here. Vibration isolating mounts for your camera, and it also means that with these being nice and flexible things, they're just going to snug down onto whatever camera size you have. Room here for your buzzer, so if you have some kind of lost model alarm or whatever, there's a nice space. There's also a couple of kind of slots in the chassis as well, that means that you could put a cable tie over the top if you really wanted to. At the top then, I fitted the optional GoPro mount that fits on top of the carbon fiber piece that straddles these two front parts. Then we have the main part. As you can see here, I've not actually done these up. These are these LED panels that are designed to light up, and they open up to give you access to the flight controller. The flight controller sits on top of a vibration isolating mount. This is a really interesting way of doing it. It's sandwiched between the various pieces, both the arms, upper and lower deck, and it means that it's both electrically isolated, which is not a bad idea, but also vibration isolated as well. When you have everything the way you want it, you can close these pieces up, put the screws here into the front, and then your flight controller is protected for those times when the blades get grass and throw it all into the flight controller and ESC. On the top, we have the battery grips and a place for the battery strap to go, which won't slide up and down, which is a nice touch. And then the back here, we have all of this 3D printed gubbins that you put together depending on what you want. Now, there are lots of different options in the box depending on the kind of antennas and things that you want. I've put mine here because it'll probably end up, I definitely, after building this, want to build it into a full quad. We have the GPS mount at the back, which is really good, and also has provision here at the bottom for something like Crossfire or maybe an Express LRS antenna. This little 3D printed piece here is designed to put your receiver on. This hole is really interesting. This is where you can mount either your VTX or your DJI Air unit or your Walk Snail or whatever. They have lots of different mounting hole options, and this little recess piece is for a piece of gubbins in here that was hidden away at the bottom of the bag. This is a little heat sink that goes on the bottom of something like an Air unit and then goes through the bottom like that, and provides additional cooling. Now, I add a lot of additional cooling onto my Walk Snail systems. I think this is a fab idea. We have this nice rubberized finish on the bottom so that it's not going to scrape up all this beautifully finished carbon, and all of the screws that have gone together definitely don't feel like they're made of Chinesium. None of them are stripped. They've all survived really well, even with the hard bits I'm using to put it together. All the bits that are recessed that need to be, and just the fit and finish is great. Now, the only other things that I'd really fit here, we have things like protectors for the LEDs and stuff, and then we also have these pieces that go over the arms, which are these little kind of landing pads. Again, heavily inspired by the whole kind of B hexagon shapes. There are a ton of bits left over here. All of the screws that I've used, there is at least one spare of every single one of them, and it is absolutely fun to build. Last thing here is I'll talk about is I also like the fact that with a chassis like this, it's absolutely aimed at those of us that like kind of exploring and flying and a bit of flippy floppy, because you have this camera is so far forward, is even with the props here, it shouldn't be getting in the way. Again, that's something that they've designed on purpose. I like that. And with this back end out here as well, which loads of room for something like an Air unit and lots of cooling for your Walk Snail or whatever, means that that top deck is really not nice and long too. So even if you do mount your action camera here, there's still loads of room on the top for a nice big battery without running out of space and bumping into the back of the GoPro if you have it on an angle, or your antennas at the back. So in summary, first impressions of this are very, very nice. This is a great little frame and perfect for the kind of builds that I personally like to do here. So I will be starting to get my hands on the flight controller stack, some motors, maybe a walk snail unit and some other bits and pieces too, and we'll build it out and we'll have some fun with it. It's probably going to be towards the end of the summer, but I thought it's quite interesting this, how SpeedyBee has gone from being a manufacturer of little bits and things to somebody that's kind of churning out quality frames like this, perfect for kind of freestyle and explorer class. I would have preferred to have different arm options for this. It would be nice to have options for 6-inch and 7-inch props with the large size and the large top deck for those bigger batteries. We could have easily pushed it up to maybe a 6S and had a nice explorer class. Maybe that's something that's coming in the future. Looking on the website, they are also offering this frame fully built out with lots of different options. But SpeedyBee, if you're watching this, I think you are missing a trick. You're only offering this frame with either analog or the DJI system. The 03 DJI system at that. There are more options out here in the hobby for HD stuff, HD0 and walk snail specifically. I think you should add an extra version. If you're going to sell these ready to fly quads based on this fab little frame, I would make one that if you're not going to sell it with walk snail and HD0, make it so that you can buy it ready for those kind of digital HD systems where you just have to install those pieces yourself. That could be quite a nice option for those pilots who are just happy doing that last couple of steps rather than doing the whole thing, or having to buy one that has an analog VTX and camera in it and take those out and throw them in the bin. So stay tuned. I'm sure you'll be seeing this frame again as we get into autumn. Thank you for watching the video. If you watch my videos and find them useful, then please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. If you really like what I'm doing here, you can become a Patreon and support the time I spend helping others and get access to lots of exclusive benefits. Link is in the video description. Remember that all the videos on the channel are organized into playlists, so you can easily use those playlists to find all the videos on a subject that you are interested in. Add Painless 360 to your searches on Google and YouTube, and it'll help you find my content for any particular topic. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy flying.